Hello, welcome to Tech Review Tuesday. Haven't done one for a while, have we? So I thought we would. For those that don't know, Tech Review Tuesday is when I have a look at some bit of tech which isn't necessarily related to RC or FPV and just have a look at it because it's interesting and it's tech. I have looked at so far 2 projectors and guess what? We've been sent another one. This is called the Nothing Projector, which is kind of an interesting name. And before I accepted this, one thing I wanted to check out was if it would support HTCP. The last projector I checked out wouldn't. That meant when I plugged a DVD or a Blu-ray player in, or even like an Xbox or a PS5 and tried to play a Blu-ray, it would use HTCP. And if the other end of it doesn't support it, and HTCP is a digital copy protection that stops you sort of pirating things, not that it's difficult to pirating, it won't work. And this does not support it out of the box. And I think this is to keep the cost down because, of course, in order to provide HTCP compliance, you're going to have to pay a license fee to the HTCP people so you can have like this key that decrypts the stuff on it. But they were saying, yeah, we're not about like playing stuff through DVD players and Blu-rays. This is much more of a TV box. It's got like Google TV plastered all over it. That's what it's for. If you want to play a movie, stream it essentially. So fair enough, at least we know up front now. It's a nice compact little box. I haven't opened it yet, so let us do that. It's quite tightly packaged. Inside that box is this box. It has some little bits on it. It's all sort of the same thing. Autofocus, auto keystone correction, auto obstacle avoidance, auto curtain alignment, that's different. They all seem to have the same sort of chip for doing this and practically the same OS from what I've seen. It's 1080p again. It claims to be 4K compliant, which means it can take a 4K input and will just scale it down, which is not quite the same as being a 4K projector. But this is more of your sort of casual travelling projector, if you like, or replacement to a TV. Inside we've got some instructions, packaging, and a little projector. This is quite diddly. I mean, if we're going to have these lower costs and less performant projectors, i.e. they're not 4K, they're not anything super special, then they might as well be quite small as well. This again has got an inbuilt speaker. I think that's the only thing that's going to suffer if we're talking size-wise, because whenever we shrink a speaker down, obviously it gets a little bit more tinny. But this is what it looks like that. One thing, because I was like, what's the difference between this and the last ones I looked at? They were saying that the thing that makes it stand out as far as the budget option stuff goes is it has a completely fully sealed optical engine. No chance of dust getting in and stuff like that, I guess. But yeah, it's a nice little size. I don't know how easy it is to, yeah, I suppose it's fairly easy to lean it up and down. It hasn't got a little leg like some have. It does have a little tripod port there. Speaker at the back, obviously, and we've got a headphone jack, HDMI in, USB in, and power right there. There is a little accessories box in which we have a UK plug. Presumably you can get them in all sorts. A little power adapter. What's this pull? This is saying 19 volts at 72 watts, and it's got this quite sort of familiar looking control where it's got a Netflix and a YouTube button. And you seem to have like the little mic on it so you can speak into it and say, go find my stuff. This is all part of the Google TV OS really. Let's go plug it in and see what it does, shall we? Well, this is a bit of a weird one. I've just got the projector just sat on this box on the screen. I thought I'd do the setup here, and I've instantly come up with a slight problem that my region isn't there. I'm in the UK. We don't have England. We don't have Great Britain. We've got Ireland, which is, you know, a different country. But yeah, there's no England, UK, Great Britain. Should I just pretend I'm in the US? Well, maybe. This is pretty standard after we've done all the signing in. Some updates go on and a lot of downloading generally. This is the boring bit where it installs all the apps. When you first turn a projector on, it'll project this image, and what it does with this is work out its focus, work out its keystone, i.e. is it straight, and also work out if it's got any obstacles in a way. And it's pretty clever at doing this. It will get the perfect image for the space you've got there. Okay, there it is, just sat on a tray on my sofa, and here's the image we're getting on the wall. It is at the moment. We've got a reasonable amount of light coming in here, so it's kind of daytime, which is not ideal. You can see things down the bottom look a lot better because they're not attempting to be black. Obviously, all the bits on the wall there is supposed to be sort of black, and the wall is not very dark. But this is the Google TV setup. We've done this many times before, where you get basically it looks at all the apps you've got, and it says you can do this, that, or the other. So it lumps together movies and stuff. So the idea is you don't have to specifically go into an app. You can just do it from there. But let's go ahead into YouTube, and we'll try looking at one of the 4K things. Now, I quite liked the fact that it's very good at avoiding obstacles. You can see I've got obstacles all around here, and it found things like the table, the dog bed, the shelves, and it shrunk in, and then it adjusted the keystone, and so everything's nice and straight. Although you can adjust the keystone manually, what you can't do is adjust the size. So it could be that you're in a space where you'd like to expand the size, but you can't, which is kind of an interesting one. So I'll do the normal thing here. I'll search for 4K Ultra HD, and we've got stuff like this. Okay, so here is some Ultra HD 4K. Not that it can do 4K, of course. They keep calling these things 4K capable, which only means that you put a 4K image into it and it will scale it down to 1080p. What we're dealing with here is not full 1080p, because of course some of the image was cut off, so it's lower than that. Now I have to say, even though we're at daytime and it looks not bad through my phone, it's actually quite dim. I'm unable to get it to go any brighter than what we've got here. We have got the, we're going to picture and brightness. Let's try up in the brightness. It doesn't seem to make a difference. Brightness 100 versus brightness of 0. I mean, there's barely anything in it. Certainly to my actual eye on the wall, it's kind of like, is that it? But it does notice it's got HDR10, which is a good thing. So it does understand HDR. And the speaker's not doing a bad job. Just turn it up a bit. It's just over here. I don't think it's going to be very good on the basses, but it seems all right on this sort of ethereal type gubbins. Let's bring up one of my videos and I can let it do the sound. So I'm choosing this one because I've got some copyright-free music, so we can let that play and see if we actually hear any of the bass. Again, it looks okay through my phone because my phone's upping the colour a bit. It looks very, very dim to my naked eye, I'm afraid. Okay, let's bump that music up. Again, as you'd expect, a little bit tinny. Let's see how it does when the bass comes in. You know, it's not the worst thing ever. Yeah, that bass drum's a little bit on the tinny side, as you might expect. Don't listen to music out of this one, but it does all right. It's not the worst thing in the world. So let's try doing something using this. Watch One Piece. I didn't say what, I said what is One Piece. So it's got some YouTube stuff. It's got the One Piece film. It's got One Piece on BBC with the awful dub. Well, that seems alright. What else we got? Something to be on Netflix. Let's have a look. Find Love is Blind.
So you can go, if you like Love is Blind, presumably you can go straight onto it. Yeah, it just says Netflix. I've already subscribed to Netflix. Can you just show it to me? Just thinking about it. Yeah, it did figure out that I was there, but it hasn't brought me directly to the show. It's just brought me to my home screen. I've muted this for copyright reasons, but yeah, no issues. Obviously, playing stuff like Netflix, it all works pretty much as you'd expect it to. Again, it just looks too dim during the day here. I've had other projectors and I haven't checked what their lumens is compared to this one, but this seems dim and I can't find a way of upping that. So this is Plex running, so this connects to my media server upstairs, which is essentially just one of my discs, which is a bunch of stuff on it. This again will be high resolution stuff, so will have to be scaled down. But yeah, you know, works okay, doesn't it? Like I said, overwhelmingly, my main issue with this is it's dim. I'm just going to fast forward a bit. Yeah, it's just very washed out looking colours, very little contrast on the darks in this sort of light. Would probably be better in the dark, of course, but I'm checking it out as like a TV replacement, and there's my TV. Okay, for my next test, we've got an Xbox One X here, connected by HDMI. That is just starting up, which is going to be slow because it's still on the mechanical disc. Okay, I'm just going to turn that down so I can hear what's going on. This is Forza Horizon 3. As I said, we're on an Xbox One X, not to be confused with the Series X. And again, this is not bad, but looking so washed out again on to my eyes. The phone I'm shooting it with looks a lot better than what it actually looks like. Just trying a nice slide there, see what happens. So yeah, I mean, it's probably playable, but not in this amount of light. What I'm gonna do with this thing, I've decided, is I'm gonna come back tonight when it's dark and see what level of improvement we get. But as a sort of TV replacement that you could use during the day, I would say it's unusable. It's too washed out. You just don't get enough brightness from the colours when you've got any sort of ambient light coming through. So we're in a dark room now. It's about 11 o'clock at night, and the picture looks a lot better, as you might expect. And I went back and I looked at the specs. I thought, what is the reason for this? And I think the reason is the lack of lumens. This projector is rated at 300 lumens. To put it into perspective, the two previous ones I looked at were 1600 and 1300 lumens, and especially the 1600 ones worked really well in daytime. So I think 300 is not enough. My 20-year-old Panasonic projector did 850. So, you know, it really could do a bit more, is what I'm thinking. Let's go back and revisit the video we were watching earlier quickly. Yeah, it looks a lot better. There's a little bit more contrast to things, as you might expect. And if we head over to Netflix, you'll notice the interface looks a lot better. You can see, again, contrast areas. Everything's just better in the dark. Well, there it is, and although I said the words not very bright many times, I think it's important to understand potentially the use case of this. What it is not is a home cinema projector. It's also not a replacement for a smart TV. It is what you'd call a casual, occasional use type of projector. And what I mean by that is you might take it outside and project it onto your wall. You might put it in your teenager's room because he wants some big screen gaming experience and you don't want to spend lots of money on a TV. Put it over one side of the room, have a blank wall, you'll have a pretty good experience there. You could perhaps use it in meeting rooms to show slides, as long as you're using very bright colours and good different contrasting to see it. But generally you do not want to use this during daytime. It's just not bright enough. And that brightness is what creates blacks, bizarrely. Although we're projecting onto a white screen, if it's very, very bright, then your eyes perceive the least filled in areas as dark.
because that's the way the eye works. If it's too bright, it sort of brings everything down, which means those just white backgrounds turn to black. When it's not very bright, it can't do that, and hence you need a black room to get those blacks. So for the price, it's going to work pretty well if you use for the right use case. It is an occasional use, fun little thing. It's not to be taken too seriously. I didn't talk about the USB. You can plug a USB stick in and play movies off that. You can put a headphone jack in, obviously, and listen to it instead of listening to the little speaker. But there you go. This was the Nothing Projector, which was kindly supplied by them. Thanks very much once again. And if you want further details, you can check it out in the links down below. Hope the review's been helpful. I will catch you next one. Bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.